Yes, yes, yes. It's another Sunday night here at Strong Island TV and Strong Island via Facebook Live right now. This is another episode of Money Marv and Company. I am DJ Face Off, and over at our broadcast table, we have tonight the lovely Miss
Brittany Marie. Hello, everyone.
And I'm your host, Mr. Sunday Night, Money Marv, man of a conscious thought. And tonight, guys, we got some special company, y'all. You know what I'm saying? In the building. For those who don't know who this lovely young lady is, this is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of YES. For some people that don't know what YES means, Youth Enrichment Services. Miss MaryAnn Pfeiffer.
Welcome to the show.
Thank
you.
Sitting with the company, guys. Sitting with the company. What's going on? How are you, Miss MaryAnn? It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
It's very nice to be here. I've watched some of these shows and they're wonderful.
Thank you. Listen, folks, tuning in. We are Facebook Live.
Am I Facebook Live?
We're going to get MaryAnn situated
So
right
everybody
now.
I've been bothering all day to watch can now watch it live on my Facebook.
Can you first speak about your position with the youth and the YES program?
Sure, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Youth Enrichment Services, and about my job, what I do. Okay. Well, as the executive officer, I do a lot of, I ensure everyone gets paid, that we have programs and services. I just knocked.
Go ahead. Take your time.
I work with elected officials, community leaders, the children, the families, to provide programs and services that meet the needs of each community. We primarily serve the town of Islip and all 12 school districts in the town of Islip. I have a few different divisions of people. I have directors under me and a chief operating officer. So we're a rather large organization, yet we're small, so we're still grassroots. So it's really challenging, it's exciting. I get to meet a lot of people, not just elected officials, and they're wonderful, and superintendents, but families. And that's really where the mission is.
Definitely.
For children and families.
How do you come up with the different programming and the programs? Like, what is the intention through the programs for the children? Like, is it to keep them busy? Is it for after school, or?
It's really to enrich their lives, and that's kind of a general, vague kind of mission statement. And the reason we do that is because we want it to be all-encompassing. That you don't have to be necessarily a poor child or a child in trouble. Okay. There are a lot of different programs and services.
Right.
But what we base our entire strategy on is advancing positive youth development, which is a evidence-based strategy, and the components that are required to do that. And so everything that we do, we kind of have that framework that we start from there.
Okay.
And we utilize within those programs evidence-based strategies. So things that have been proven to work other places, that have been tried in East LA, for instance, if we're looking at different programs that might work to create more positive communities, to give opportunities to kids that may not have them now. So again, we have 3 divisions. We have our direct programs, which are after-school programs, weekend programs, summer programs. Then we have our prevention services, which is another division. And in prevention services, I have a director as well. And Jess Olsen-Hoke, and she's going to hear me hopefully say that, she really does everything to do with substance abuse and violence prevention. So we use evidence-based strategies, and those are strategies that New York State and the federal government say actually work. They've studied them over time. And she also runs coalitions. So groups getting each community together to say, what is the substance abuse problem in our community? How can we reduce it? So we know we're in the middle of a opioid heroin crisis.
Right.
Beyond just gangs. So all of my communities are really being hit by different things that we're trying to address. And then my third division, which is my director, Mary Beth Harmon, She's our clinical director. We have an Article 31 OMH New York State Mental Health Clinic, and that's for children and families. And we have a psychiatrist. We have LCSW clinicians that work with the families. We love it. We're in our second year, so it's very exciting work to be doing that intensive work. And my director of programs, of course, and development person is Carolyn Baez. She is responsible for a lot of there's so many services, and we serve about 10,000 kids a year, so she has her hands busy. And we have about 100 employees.
Wow.
See, Yes done came a long way from when I was volunteering there as a kid.
And when I was working there, yeah.
Yeah, they came a long way. You know, they got.
I was a kid then.
You know?
Is it like full circle for you to see people that have speak about it as adults? Your program, is that something like great to be a part of, to see someone who grew up basically?
Yes. Tony was Tony, I'm calling him Tony.
Okay.
Yes!
Hey,
Get it!
You know,
And you too. I don't know, but
it's cool. Listen,
he
they
was,
don't
he was a good kid. He kept everybody busy, and he was a good kid and creative, and had a lot of dreams.
Right.
And here he is today. You know, he's involved with working with the community himself.
Right.
So even though I give credit to him, we like to think that some of the staff that worked there at the time, and there are a couple that are still there, including me, had some impact, we hope.
Right.
But it's just important that no matter where he got that, no matter what, he ended up in a good place.
Right.
And that's what we want for the kids. And sometimes it's a longer route for some kids than others, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. But actually, our COO, Michael McGrath, you would remember.
Yeah,
Tony,
yeah.
So, and he's
Mike Boogie.
So I'm just trying to get their names out because I get to do this, and it's great. But there's so many people working right now, getting ready for tomorrow, that I'm really proud of, and their dedication, because you don't make a lot of money in this business, but I think that they're in it for the right reasons.
Definitely.
And there are so many others that I could just list name after name, and they know who they are, that are really working hard.
Now, I know Yes evolved so much since, me and DJ Face Off been there.
You can say Kenneth. You can say Kenneth. Yeah,
Okay.
might as well,
All
we're
right,
gonna use development today.
Kenny and Tony. I didn't say last names.
I don't remember too much of that. The good thing that I could say for me coming to Yes, I got to do a lot of things that I didn't, I wouldn't have got to do if I stayed in my neighborhood, in a positive aspect of it. And I mean, some of us kids, we had shenanigans going on, but I learned something, and it taught me how to be a humanitarian. And that's what I got from this young lady here, over the years of just volunteering in the community. She actually presented me with my first town citation.
Wow.
Yeah, from the town supervisor at that time, Peter McGowan. And I just see, like, when I don't get to see the Yes program very much, because I know a lot has changed. So it's like when I go back to the old building, I'm like, they're not even there anymore. Like, wow, like. And the things that I've learned over the years, just from volunteering and being involved in the community, it helped out a lot. It helped out a lot, because I could have definitely, I've had my moments where I veered off a little bit, but at that time I needed that after-school program to go to, whether it was the drop-in program, the tutoring program that they would do it, take some kids from Central Islip and take them to the Brentwood rec place and see MaryAnn looking like I still remember that. So
now, what, as a parent, what could you do if your school doesn't have a Yes program or something like that?
Oh, good question. You can call Yes, and we'll try to work with the organizations that might serve the area. We do get phone calls all of the time from other townships. Again, we primarily serve the town of Islip, which, just in a nutshell for people who are watching that may not know, that's Bayshore, Brentwood, Central Islip, West Islip, Islip, East Islip, Sayville, Oakdale, Holbrook, Bayport, Blue Point, and all the Hauppauge. We have some of, half of Sachem, our Islip kids. So, and different levels. Obviously, we have a lot of focus area right now on Bayshore, Brentwood, and CI. Again, there's high need, but I think every community has their needs. And again, we have a lot going on in some of our other parts of the town that have to do with the heroin crisis. And so, that's been a lot of strategizing. I'll go back to our prevention services, those coalitions, and getting the people to the table to talk about what might work, what can they do in their communities. There was great parade today that was held out in the Bayport Blue Point area, and they had an alcohol-free zone for St. Patrick's Day. All the locals. And
we seen that earlier today.
And our kids made signs, and that coalition worked for that, and they worked hard. We've seen legislator Tom Silmy go after social host law, which means that you can't allow kids to be drinking in your house. That it's now a misdemeanor and enforceable, and Tim Sinney. So we have a lot of great players that have come along, and it's just a matter of education. I don't think that parents intentionally do things. I think that it's misinformation sometimes, or not understanding that even though it's only alcohol, alcohol is a gateway.
Right.
Nobody starts off with heroin, and getting that education out there. So I would suggest other communities, see what services you have, call up your local township. Most of the towns in Long Island have a youth bureau as per New York State law, and go from there. But we're always open up to helping other communities. Not necessarily that we're going to do that, but locating the resources and who might be able to
help
do
plant
something.
the seed for it.
Right, right. Because we're really one island. Our kids move around, and so what somebody's doing in one part of our town affects the other part. So
definitely. Something I was going to. So now, when did Youth Enrichment actually form and begin? What year did that take place, and when did you get involved? Like exactly the beginning. Let's get back to
Well, it was actually the current town supervisor, Angie Carpenter. She and a group of people got together, and they didn't really have youth services in the little hamlet of West Islip, and that's where it began, was in West Islip. And she and some other people, and I hate to leave people off, but they really did that hard work. Tom Budicavoli, Doug Chappie, Diane Munno, Maria Pecorelli, lots of people. I'm not going to keep going on that one, but they got together. It's before me, and they decided that they wanted youth services for this little hamlet. A few years later, that was in 1987, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary. I came along in the 90s. We're going to leave that a long time ago. And I was a kid. That's why Tony and I were friends. But anyway, I came along, and at the time the town was looking to cut down so much on administration and kind of merge these organizations. So yes, put in a competitive bid, and we were selected to do Bayshore, Brentwood, and CI as well. So that was when we originally went into those communities a long, long time ago, but it was when I was first there, and then I met Tony actually, and the kids there out in Central Islip, and many kids in Brentwood. And then years and years later, we've grown to serve the entire town, work with South Shore Community Organization and the Youth and Family Counseling Program. We took that program and we worked, and then we made a mental health clinic. So, but we've had so many supporters over the years that they all deserve mention, and I never like to sit here and say I did it alone. Yeah. And so again, the town has been a huge support for YES because they provide us, they support us in our facilities and trying to find space for our programs. They support us in a lot of ways that are huge for us. And we're part of their Youth Bureau division. They subcontract with us, as well as the county. They subcontract with us as well. And there have been many people over the years that just come to mind as I go through that and say their commitment was to youth and families, and they knew our commitment. Sometimes, you know, you have to balance things. It's not always easy, that road, but it's definitely worth it.
So now, I know you have all these, prevention programs. So now you guys have a gang prevention program for kids as well?
Yes. So there are a couple of things that when we look at gangs, and that's a hot word right now, and everybody has the answer, and I don't think any of us really have one answer, but one of the things we do know that a lot of violence, whether it's gang violence or kids are more violent, whatever that is, a lot of it has to do with the way kids might feel about themselves and maybe the trauma they've suffered in their lives.
Right.
So, again, and I always stay out of the political realm, so I'm going to say that right now, but when we have immigrant children coming to the country, I have to serve them, meaning I don't get into all the politics. We have to make sure that all of our kids are safe.
Yeah.
So that's why I always make that announcement. I'm not here to politically advocate anything. I'm just saying my job is look at the general youth population, where we do a violence prevention program, Too Good for Violence, and it really is a self-esteem building, conflict resolution. It's intensive that the kids go through, and that again is evidence-based. And that can go from grades K through 8, and then there's a high school program.
Okay.
When you're looking at other things with gangs, mentoring, the federal government did a study and they said, well, basically nothing really works against gangs, except for we really think this mentoring thing is a good thing. So we need a lot of people to volunteer their time to mentor young people.
Now, these people that work in this particular area with that now, are they ex-cons or college? I just gotta ask. I mean, I'm gonna just say I can't relate to nobody with a Harvard degree if you ain't come from where I come from. I just
well,
gotta
that's why
be
it's
honest.
critical for the staffing to represent the communities. So it doesn't mean that everybody's white or everybody's black or everybody's Hispanic. Yes, we do have staff that have grown up in Hempstead that have had their fair share of challenges, so I think everybody has a piece to play. That's how I handle that, and I can't out any of my staff, obviously.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
and the interesting thing is, all of our staff are background checked and fingerprinted. So everyone goes, "Well, that means you can never." Well, no, the state works really intensively with us to make sure that people can bring something to the kids that may or may not have done things in the past. Obviously, they would not be child sex offenders or anything like that. They're like, but again, so I it's all different people make up. So without getting into the individual personalities, so our prevention staff, just off the top of my head, one person comes from Wyandanch, grew up there her whole life, and another person comes from, I want to say, North Bellport. And if I'm wrong, excuse me, I try to remember. One's from Central Islip, so we go from there. One's from Sayville. So again, we're talking about substance abuse. So it's not just that everybody has to be from one area, because, all my communities are seeing challenges right now, and none of them are bad. They're just being challenged, and we're really seeing challenges in the past 5 and 10 years that we've never seen before.
Yeah, I think that those particular communities in the town of Islip, gentrification was a part of it, low-income housing and, the drug dealing, the prostitution, the different things, I think all play an effect on this gang thing. I don't really like to use the word gang too much, because law enforcement's a gang, the military's a gang. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna say group of people.
Right.
Different groups of people, and it's not really, to me, it's not about race, it's about human issues. We all have the same issues. Whether in my household it may have been alcoholism, drug addiction. In this person's house, someone in their family may be molesting them, and those different, as you said again, it talks about something. So those different things sometimes play different factors in people's lives, where they leave their household and they don't know how to, I guess, function to some degree in society when you're dealing with those type of skeletons and those things that you have. And sometimes it's like people say you need to talk to someone, but do I talk to someone who really doesn't know, or can I talk to someone that's a little bit more relatable, that have an idea? Not to say that the person that isn't relatable doesn't have any knowledge or insight. They may give me a outside the box perspective on some things, and not judging anybody, because we all have flaws.
Exactly.
We all have
Exactly.
issues, and I just think that the gang culture, if that's the political term that they want to use, posse, crew, and I'm just, language, y'all. I'm gonna say tonight language, and we, the different words: gang, posse, crew, homeboys, homegirls. How you want to word it. To me, it's all the same thing, and I just think that when you got certain areas that are taken by, drugs and heavy crime and it's like, all right, we can attack it by, law enforcement can attack it by arresting people, and that's not going to change anything because you take 10 drug dealers off the street, 10 other people who indulge in other nefarious activity, you take them away, you got 10 and 10 more people coming right behind them, you know what I mean? So it is very challenging, I could say, for community groups and families who are affected by these things. And I've seen a lot of younger people in all these neighborhoods, not just from people getting shot and killed, people overdosing on heroin. I think 2016, they have about 312 people in Suffolk or something like that a couple years ago.
And more in 2017, the latest came out for that. So yes, we are a lot more significant uptick. Primarily in, Brookhaven's our largest populated town, but also, in Isa, Sayville, Bayport, Blue Point, on that south corridor there.
Yeah.
And again, there's so many good kids in Brentwood. There's so many good kids in Sayville. And you're not a bad kid because you have addiction. You're not a bad kid because you made a mistake and got involved in something. So again, we try to remain judgment-free.
Definitely.
The other thing is when you're looking at the strategies, there was a thing that we did. Alex Lopez, Dr. Lopez, he grew up in Newark, and he came and he invited me to a meeting when he was out at Stony Brook. Here he was, had his doctorate, and yet, he's the real deal. He came from Newark, and he said, I just recently started playing golf, and I love it. So why can't kids that I grew up with, or similar to me, play golf? And we started this with him. Of course, he was our leader, Dr. Lopez. He's a great guy. He started this Gangs to Golf thing, and everybody was like, Gangs to Golf? Well, that was just kind of, what was being called, but it was called Par 4. We still do it to this day. It's a mentorship program, taking the kids out there. Why do certain kids not play golf? What is that? Or tennis? And our kids really, we took them over to Southward Ho Country Club, and they were amazing in a short amount of time, how much of a skill. But his point about golf was it's really a life skill. It's about rules. It's about, the biggest business deals happen on the golf course. Women have been, and I should play golf. Angie Carpenter's watching, thinking that right now, but that's okay, Angie. She's a golfer. But, we're leaving people out. If you think about the business dealings, on the golf course, it's amazing. Our presidents play golf, our CEOs do, so why aren't we teaching all of our kids?
Right.
And so that program is a mentorship, and that is really something that you take kids and you give them a passion for something. Not every kid wants to play basketball. Not every kid wants to play football.
Yeah.
So here's another avenue. We also then got involved with the USTA and tennis mentoring, and it's the same thing. I don't know, Tony, you probably went ice skating. I make my kids go ice skating. That may not be cultural, sensitive. Did I take you?
Yeah.
And my kids fell all over, and my staff did, but you know what? They skated.
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at earlier about, doing things that I normally wouldn't do.
Right.
Ice skating.
Getting out of your comfort zone, too, and out of the neighborhood.
And that actually saved my life. I can honestly say that saved my life. Some people it didn't. Some people it did. And I think that's choices and the roads people take. And some people may choose to do a life of crime. Some people choose to indulge in drugs and alcohol and other things. And real quick, I'm just gonna say this as we're talking about these critical issues. I was talking with a group of teenagers, and at this time, I was just coming from a situation, and I just had to, speak to these teenagers, and it was at-risk youth, and we were talking and just shooting the breeze about, life, different things that were going on, and then And I was telling, and it was all ethnicities, black, white, Asian, different kids, and I said, listen, y'all keep getting in trouble. Listen, some of y'all gonna be in somebody's rehab, some of y'all gonna be in somebody's prisons, and they making prisons for you to come. And I used to say the same, and somebody said, they making it for you to come. And I can honestly say, I went. I didn't know when I was gonna get there, but I got there, and I said, well, how they know I'm coming? But they know you coming. And one kid's like, oh, how you know I'm coming? I'm too smart for that. We all think we too smart. We all think we smarter than this one, that one. Hey, they ain't
Kids are invincible, right?
You know,
Absolutely.
hey, you
the
know.
feeling of invincibility is a challenge as adults to tell kids, even now.
And like now that I'm older and I see like life experiences when older people would say things to me, and I think, oh man, they just running their damn mouth. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, and now that I'm at the age that I am, and I'm like, damn, I didn't catch the memo. It took me 20 years to catch the memo that they were trying to give to me. It's like when we have jobs. And I might say, damn, man, I might work for MaryAnn. MaryAnn pissing me off. But down the road, there's a message in that, like MaryAnn would say, well, listen, I need people who gonna come here and work and not be told what to do. And I might say, well, MaryAnn just being a bee, right? Mm-hmm. But down the road, that applies to paying bills, doing things. I need people who know what they're supposed to do, not to be told what to do. And kids, teenagers, you have to guide them. You can't tell them what to do.
Give them the options and the choices.
Yeah. And when you're telling someone what to do, it's like telling a 50-year-old man, yo, don't go outside. You know what I mean? Some hell gonna hit you in the head. I'm saying, well, I'm 50 years old. I'm grown. You can't tell me what to do. So like I said, different ways of, I guess, getting a message across. And I see a lot of different community-based organizations out here, and they're doing a lot of good things. Mm-hmm. Here in Nassau, they have the Strong program. Mm-hmm. Am I right? You know what the Strong program is? In Nassau, I think it's, I don't know if they're sure, from out our way or whatever. Hempstead, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have their thing where they work a little bit different from Yes, right. But I could honestly say like Youth Enrichment Services actually done a lot for me over the years, and it made me.
I mean, for me, MaryAnn actually taught me how to drive. Both of them together taught me how to drive, and then what made it worse is when I got my license, they put me in New York City to come home. Which was crazy, but
oh my goodness!
Without MaryAnn here, I would have not
had a license.
I wouldn't have gotten into college. Actually, I would not have gotten into college for the brief stint that I was there. It was a requirement back when I was there that you had to work there and also go to college. It still is? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, hey.
Because I just assumed back then that, Yes was more of an educational geared type of program. Not really so much, well, we got a Yes football tournament thing we're going on. It was more towards education. And I think education is extremely important because we never stop learning. And
there's a lot of community service and volunteering. I always remember seeing Tony and Kenny and
Rich Simon.
We could go back.
Steve, Sean, Lewis,
back in
Renee.
the day. Oh, Renee Ortiz,
Vicky.
still involved. Vicky Galan, still supporters. I mean, yes, nobody ever really leaves. They just circle back around.
we just come back and say, hey, how y'all doing?
Is there any kind of education to get the parents involved? Like, you have something for the children to we have to steer them. But what education do you offer to the parents so that when they go home there's a different environment?
Well, that's critical because even though I'm going to say it's not a political statement, it takes a village, and all those not-for-profits out there that are doing the good work. It's not only Yes, it's the village, it's the elected officials, it's the community leaders, it's people like yourselves, even this show. So now we go full circle to parents, and our parents are faced with a lot of challenges. So what we try to do is we have family nights, and we pack the place. I would love for you guys to come and just check it out. We get 200 parents in there, and it's amazing. And they come in. We have dinner. We provide. We want them to come as a family, eat with us, and then. Now that the parents are watching, we have different speakers. We have tables set up of other not-for-profits, maybe healthcare, maybe housing, prevention of mortgage foreclosure. We have different tables that are set up of other community groups. Pronto, Adelante, Family Service League, I could rattle them off. But we have that going on. Then we have a guest speaker. So let's say last year Northwell came in and they did stroke prevention, because what a lot of people don't realize that you can be in your 40s and have a stroke, and what they really don't realize, brown and black people have at a younger age strokes. And in fact, we had an employee, obviously to remain nameless, who actually during that year that was our stroke year, actually suffered a stroke as a young woman and in perfect physical health, evidently, But I mean, so I'm trying to think what this year is. A lot to do with banking and loans and things like that. So we pick different things, and the parents get educated that way. One thing we don't do to our parents is say this is what you should be doing and preach at them. We do always nutrition. We have cooking, and we have a cookbook that's put together to make things healthier options. That's a big kick right now. Better nutrition. So we have a lot of cultural dishes that may not be the healthiest. So we don't want to take the culture away, but we want to say, why don't we just put less of this and maybe more of that? Including Italian dishes can be made healthier. It doesn't have to not taste good. It's just one step healthier, we say. So we provide that. The kids learn how to make it, and then the recipes go home in a book. And again, it's not preaching at the parents, because the parents have so many things on their plate, but also they're the experts too with their kids.
Yeah, definitely.
That's something we don't want to lose, and we want to always be careful of our cultural differences that bring us together, because I love different cultures, and you see me eating on the family nights where we try to do the different cultural
So you eating
foods.
collard greens?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm from Texas, first of all. So for me, that's Southern cooking.
Okay, so you know.
See, I know. But anyway, so we do things like that. We also ask the parents to not only be passive. We've had certain sites and programs have done where the parents and the kids do like a field day. Awesome activities. But we also ask the parents, why don't you come in and guest speak? I don't care what the parent does for a living. They can bring something into the room. Can you volunteer? Can you be part of this trip? We got Nick's tickets, a parent that's really involved. Do you want to chaperone? So it goes from there that those are the things, the strategies to make parents feel welcome. And through that, you strengthen that relationship. Our focus, too, is to get parents to feel comfortable at yes, and then to build that relationship with the schools. Some of our families are very disconnected from the schools. So we want to kind of work that angle, too, to get them more involved, to trust the school. I'm not saying that the school is or isn't trustworthy, but, learn how to advocate for their child. And so we try to do a lot of things like that, and I hope we don't preach at the parents. We try to make it something like stroke awareness, not always like, do you know that your child should be doing 1.5 hours of homework every night? We want to really, we do things like resume building so they can get a better job. I mean, part of building and helping the family and enriching the family is really helping the parents. Sometimes it has nothing to do about the kids. And then they really do trust you.
And showing them where to start, because they've been in this position for so long.
If I had to get a new job, I'd have to go to that workshop.
Right,
I mean, exactly. So, those are things that never speaking down to parents, because again, they're on the front line, or my staff who are on the front line, and really hearing their perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Yes, was a lot of people's. They were a lot of people's parents when their parents weren't actively involved. I could say when I was coming. I don't know how.
Oh yes, I give it to my staff. All of my staff are mentors. So even the very act, like when you came Tony, all of those people mentored you. You know, it wasn't like
Absolutely,
where
yeah.
we met once a week. Anytime I was over at the Central ISOP office, and by the way, we're right in the next building.
Oh,
That
okay.
whole facility, the town is very generous to us. We put our prevention services where you used to hang. So that's more
okay.
offices you're seeing.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, and Kenny, I always saw though, Tony was always there. I mean, through it all, he saw the drama of Yes.
I was a
First-
big brother. I guess I was a big brother in the actual streets because a lot of people came back in the day, and I was just like, yeah, it's open.
Yeah.
They'd be waiting before I didn't even have to get to work, and they'd be waiting outside. So I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of people
Still.
grow and prosper and everything. And I still run into a couple of kids that we know, and they be like, "You watched me back in the day, and you saw me being bad. You told me to out bad, but now I'm doing good." So it's kind of good when I can run into someone that used to go to the Yes Center and be like, "Hey, I remember you," and
Right.
stuff like that.
Quick question, MaryAnn. Now, do they actually get involved with like ACS services as well with their kids too?
Yeah, I mean, we do a variety of things. We work with DSS. We work with foster care, the different levels, homelessness, absolutely. Again, and there are a variety of ways. DSS and different groups or homeless organizations will enroll their youth, that families that are experiencing homelessness, into like our summer programs, so that the kids have somewhere to go. Their parents can try to get a job or whatever's going on in their life. Also, the mental health clinic. Again, like I said, that we do have some court referred. We also have very quickly something that we didn't have when you were there, but we have a court involved program for kids who are court involved, and working on some reentry services as well when our kids come out of incarceration. Now with Raise the Age, we're preparing. So these are things that Yes is trying to stay on top of. Again, our focus is children and their families in relationship to the child's well-being. So we really have a niche. We don't try to be all things to all people. So when we see Raise the Age, which is something that there's pros and cons about, again, I stay out of the political. I know it's coming. I have to prepare that we're going to have kids that are going to need to be served in the community. But even our court-involved kids, as opposed to incarcerating them, we have opportunities. We work with Judge Camacho. We work with probation. We work with Hope for Youth. And these kids have to do 15 hours in positive youth development. Now, they don't have to do it all at Yes. They can. They can do it with a church group. They can do it with EOC. They can do it with another organization.
Okay.
Not all sizes fit all. I don't care if it's Boy Scouts. They could be on the school basketball team. A lot of times that's difficult if they've had behavioral issues. But again, the schools work with us. If they feel we're going to support the mental health of the child, they can get social work services, case management. They're old enough, jobs. But they have to be doing something. Now, if the judge or probation finds out they're not showing up, they're not doing this, they will answer for that.
Okay, now, so they raised the age from what, 16 to 18 now?
to try. So no longer, we were the last of two states, I don't want to get the other state wrong, but I think it's North Carolina, that still try kids 16 and 17-year-olds as adults, and also adult facilities. That has changed. Of course, for more violent crimes, there will be specific things ordered for that. But I think that it's of its time. What we saw with 16 and 17-year-olds, they're still 16 and 17, and we need to treat it as such. We need to make sure that they're not in any way incarcerated at any time with adults.
Yeah, I'm actually glad they did that.
There's like a story, I forget the state, a young girl, I think she shot her molester or someone who had been like raping her or something, and she's doing life or something. But she was convicted as an adult when she was young, like similar to what you're saying, and now
some of the crime, right, some of the things would be that, again, there would be certain, I don't know that case, but if, let's say it's a gang killing, then the kid's not really going to be, he's going to be incarcerated and then eventually probably turned over, I don't want to say for sure, but I would think into the adult system.
Yeah,
and things like that will happen because they're more violent offenders. But we're talking about kids with possession, maybe they're dealing a little, they're still kids. Yeah. And I'm not naive. There are kids that are hardcore. We're not, but we still need to not give up on our young people. Right. And so these programs, or reentry, what happens when a kid has been incarcerated and he's coming back out? We have a new sheriff, and so reentry services are being looked at. What happens when they return to the community? Well, now they've already been in trouble, so there's that badge, good or bad. they've been out of the community, they've seen some other things, so you want to make sure somebody's there to greet them, kind of check in with them. How's it going? Because recidivism is higher in young people, and you don't want to create career criminals that just feel more comfortable in the system.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, a lot of this goes back to trauma, so PTSD. It's not overused. Lots of our kids in foster care, and not blaming foster parents who end up in foster care, children who are immigrants, whether they're documented or not, other, like you said, have had other experience in their lives. This trauma drives some of the violence, some of the anger. So again, when something occurs, sometimes it's the first time. Maybe it's graffiti, the cars on the LIE. I can think of the different cases where they kind of went in there. So the kid's 14 or 15, and it's a lot of damage. So you want to work with those kids. You want to know what's making them tick. Here are some services. Let's get them some mentorship. Let's get them working in the summer. Let's see if we can put the brakes on what's going on and also help this young person. Sometimes it's just they're acting out. It's not, that's an acting out, like somebody noticed me, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And the stories are incredible, not to go in here what our girls have faced. When you have girls that come in that have been involved in the court system and are getting these kinds of sentences, you can believe that they've been through a lot of trauma. So again, all the kids. So we're doing that program, and bringing it to the next level that the kids re-entering can be part of that. It's a good program. We worked with Hope for Youth for years on it. It's something that I'd like to see more of. I don't think incarceration is the only way. With even if they're in the detention homes for the kids, we all know what happens there.
Oh, definitely, of course, yeah. I don't.
Let's take a brief second. Shout out to Alexander Lopez.
Yeah, you got
Rhonda Glenn in the check-in. Temby Jenkins. Who else here? There's a lot of people here. I don't want to miss nobody, but definitely call in 516-945-9099. 516-945-9099. If you have any questions you want to answer or you need questions answered, please call in. 516-945-9099.
And folks, our Sunday night subject is community issues. We're not here to get political and all that other stuff. We're just talking about our youth of today, because the youth of today is our future. That's the way I see it. As they say, the youth, like far as when I'm with the Elks, and they say, we're geared towards the youth, and those are Elks of the future. And so same thing, I think with and I think you guys do a great job in all these communities, and I think that it's a wonderful program for parents and children to be involved in. I didn't know y'all was even doing this amount of stuff. You just
you were gone a long time.
Yeah, you just blew me away. Wow, like that shows me that you're doing something right. Your organization is doing something right, and you guys are moving in a better direction to help individuals and families. And we need more of that, especially in this day and age with all this craziness in the world, mass shootings and this going on, that going on. Like, the world, it's a pretty crazy world out here nowadays.
And our kids are seeing it all. Social media, which is a great thing, but it's really putting a lot of stress and anxiety on our kids as well.
I was going to
and
say,
they're watching us as adults really play this out.
Do you have kids that have fear of being in school, or have come to you guys about that because there's so many in-school shootings, or any kids?
Well, I would think that's normal, but I know that our school districts, and that's a shout out to all of them, are really working hard on even addressing March 14th. With that school walkout, what are some ideas that we can do to keep everybody safe and remember the victims of the shooting? And again, I think my school districts are doing an amazingly safe job, and I'm going to knock wood and working with them and knowing when I go in, even if they know me, that I'm going through the process, because that's the process.
Yeah.
Our districts are doing a wonderful job. But yes, of course, I think students it would be impossible do you feel that way when you hear about a mall shooting? You go to the mall that first day or two, you kind of probably think about it briefly. I don't think it's something that our kids should be concerned with, but we should always be aware. So,
and as someone in this school directly, how come, it may be a little bit more to it than this, but how come more schools don't have metal detectors in every school? Like, that's just selected, and how come that's not a normal thing?
Go ahead and answer, MaryAnn.
I mean, off the record, not identifying any school district administrators I speak with. There are a lot of issues because then there's a perceived that everyone is safe. There's a perception of safety whenever you add something like that everybody's going to be through that metal detector. But it's also a school, and maybe we are getting to that point that schools will begin to do it, but it's still a place of learning.
Because you look at inner
and
city
socializing.
schools, and a lot of inner city schools already have it automatically. But up suburban.
That is very controversial. So what I'm going to say on that issue is, I'm going to say that we just try to provide places for the kids to feel safe and to do these programs and to give them a voice, and certainly if we. But we certainly privy and obviously have conversations with the districts. And there are always pros and cons to that. And it's kind of like, why don't we just house police officers in the schools? Besides the expense, is that where we're at? And that's a decision each community and school district's going to make for themselves.
Right.
But
I don't know. Then, they want teachers they want to arm teachers with guns. And I'm like, hell, a teacher might have a bad day and might just start capping people off. Yeah, look, you just don't know. You don't know what's in somebody's mind,
Isn't it crazy that we even have to have these conversations? Because I want to just go to that. I think that we just need to focus a lot. I'm going to keep that gun thing out of my... Again, I only do what I can do in the communities I work with, but I just go back, mental health, mental health, mental health. These kids were not kids unbeknownst to us. And I'm not blaming anyone that either. I'm not going to sit here and play. There are lots of kids that could possibly do it. You can't incarcerate everybody who says something either. So we got to look better at the mental health services. We've got to do more. We've got to make sure our kids have that. And it's not the only answer, but there are amazing things that a young person can get when they're feeling anxiety. There are amazing.
Caller, what's your name? Money Marv and Company.
You call me Mommy.
Mama Love, what's going on? What's happening, Mama?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I am just calling to thank MaryAnn and the Yes program to being part of the village to help to raise my sons. Penny, you too. Yes, Tony was really dedicated to that program. He'd come in and say, I gotta go. Where are you going? And as he went out the door, I'm going to the rec. And I knew where he was. I knew where he was. I mean, I could count on him being there. And I thank you guys so much for that program, keeping it going. Just thank you so much.
You're welcome, and we're so, thank you for calling, and I hope that a lot of my staff were able to get on tonight because I want to just keep saying, I've got to say, because tomorrow morning I'm going to be...
Oh, yeah, she's going to get many phone calls after this. But, I mean, for everyone that's checking in, I mean, Erin Rizza just came in. Sylvia A. Diaz just came in, so there's a lot of people listening.
Sylvia. Hey, Erin.
There are a lot of people checking, so... You're actually in the clear, MaryAnn. You're not going to get that many calls. You might get calls from someone that doesn't work at Yes. I tried to watch it, but don't worry. You can watch it tomorrow. We'll have it on the site. You can watch it. Everyone will send you the link so everyone can get a view of it.
Great.
Now, what keeps this motivation within yourself to keep going and keep doing this? Like, what gives you that drive, that passion to be so involved in all these different programs and resources that you put out there? Like, what keeps that motivation going?
I think our kids rock. I think Town of Islip kids in the house, they rock. No, and they do. All kids do. I just have that passion. I love kids. I don't care what age. It's an incredible opportunity, and I have a great board. It's just the people I work with. I mean, we laugh, and we have a lot of sad times sometimes. We go through some rough times when we lose one of our kids, violently especially. and the community grieves together. I mean, we have elected officials who grieve, and they genuinely, reach out. So I think that it's just knowing that through the rough times, there's going to be more good times. And when we lose a young person or they end up incarcerated, and my staff, especially when they're newer to it, they it's tough seeing them go through that. They're upset, and I try to say things that will comfort them. Well, maybe yes was the only good thing that young person had for that amount of time. We're not changing anyone's world for them. They're going to make that choice. Right. And that's the thing I caution in interviews. So you guys who've sat through interviews know that don't think that, or at the trainings. You're not saving lives. People save their own lives. You're giving them opportunity. But, so you think about that. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be okay, but they got to be a kid while they were at Yes. And the laughs and the funny stuff that went on. Not to get on to it here, and the staff.
Got another caller.
Money Marv and Company, what's your name, where you're from?
This is Temby Jenkins. I live in Massac Shirley, but I'm originally from the town of Islip and worked with the Yes program for 2 years.
Okay.
Temby.
Appreciate your call.
And your girls were part of our program.
Excuse me?
And the girls were part of the program. Brianna and Dominique.
When I first started with Yes, I met MaryAnn. She really inspired me and looked at my talents and my resume, and I worked with all aspects in the West Side Flip program. I worked in the after-school program. I worked in the office. I worked with the summer program. I worked with the special needs program. Both of my children attended. I had one child that had special needs, Down syndrome. It was our second family, and it brought about wonderful memories, excellent opportunities for my children and the other youth to display their talents and to really grow as a family, as a community. My youngest is now in Buffalo State, going for music education and humanities. My Down syndrome daughter is now 25, and she's looking to start a inclusion program for special needs, and it was a wonderful opportunity. I pursued emergency response afterwards, and I developed breast cancer, and in my heart I always want to be affiliated with the Yes program, and I plan on volunteering as well as my kids whenever we can, as much as we can. It's a wonderful program, and I can believe how much it's grown, because it's been one of the top organizations that I can say firsthand that really, really looked at the individuals, the staff, as well as the youth, and really utilized their talents and their abilities and gave them a safe place and gave them some direction and some options that really was beneficial in growing in life as a whole.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank
yes,
you, Tempe.
definitely.
Miss you.
Thank you for calling.
Amazing program. Amazing.
Thank you so much for your call and shedding light on the Youth Enrichment Service Program and MaryAnn as well.
Can I talk about our special needs program?
Yeah, definitely.
Because
Yes, please.
Thank you, Tempe. First of all, this is
Talk,
Yeah.
MaryAnn. That's what you
I
did.
just love this. I love all my programs. Shout out to all my staff, but I absolutely, and I think everybody who knows me knows this. This program is amazing, and the people who work in it, Mike McGrath. See, all of my directors still do direct services. We don't lose sight that people stay in an office. They still have to have contact with the kids and do things. It keeps us all honest.
Out there in the field.
Out there in the field, so you're not just pushing paper. So Michael McGrath, the COO, he does this program, and these kids love him. But anyway, it's on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. It's for children with developmental disabilities. So we have children with Down syndrome. We have children on the spectrum, verbal and nonverbal. They're just awesome kids. I cannot say enough about it's right downstairs from my office conveniently, that I say, oh, I'm going to stop in and then I'm going to get to my meeting. And inevitably, if it's a Tuesday or Thursday night meeting, I can't pull myself away. And I'm always walking in like 10 or 15 minutes after 7 because it's from 6 to 8, the program. It is an awesome program. All of the kids there, we had kids that literally were nonverbal, and they could speak, they just never did, and they speak now. Their inclusion, we have high school students. Shout out to the different high schools, including the St. Anthony's. We have a whole group coming over. So it's all kids, and they come over, typical kids. We call kids that are not identified as having a disability. Let's just use typical, not normal, because I'm normal for my disabilities, Yeah. But anyway, so I just love the program. I think Mike McGrath does an awesome job with Alexia there. But those kids and those parents, you see kids flourish, that they're interacting. The reason I got involved with that is for years, it's intimidating to work, or you think it is, to work with kids with higher special needs. And you never saw these kids in regular types of programs. You just would see them at the mall, get out of the van, and I always said, why? Why are they not in my program? And I know my staff were hesitant. So we had an opportunity with an organization in Massachusetts, believe it or not, that reached out to New York. And this organization funded us. Not a lot of money for 2 years, came in and trained us. That was years ago. We kept this program going. I know that every once in a while I get an email from them, and they're just delighted about it, because most people go away, the program goes away without the money. Yeah. It is a program we are dedicated to, and I will tell you, it's the great equalizer. I have community leaders' children in there, and I have kids that are coming from foster care. It does not matter. All of my programs, I feel, are, but I just love that program. And if you have a child between 14 and 24, it's to socialize our teenagers. And again, bringing in the typical teenagers into the program it's dynamite.
MaryAnn, can I jump in?
Yes.
I'm sorry, before I hang up, I was there when you first started this program, and the passion that you had behind it was amazing. And I can vouch firsthand that there was nonverbal, special needs, young adults in there that blew my mind. I mean, I had a daughter with Down syndrome that attended that program as well, and my other daughter attended there. The integration was wonderful. I watched nonverbal, special needs children open up, socialize. It was just a tremendous, amazing experience, and it did wonders for the parents as well. So I had to say that, and it was very, very special, and it touched my heart that I can proudly say that I was a part of that program, and the passion that MaryAnn had behind it was amazing, amazing. The kids would go into the office with like food that they would cook and stuff like that. And they would, MaryAnn and Mike McGrath, they would all take the time, Carolyn, they would all take the time out to interact with them. Every time we would bust into the office with some food or some stuff like that they made. And I just have to say, MaryAnn, thank you so much. It has changed both of my children's lives as well as my own. And I really, really appreciate it. And you have my full dedication to the day that I die.
Thank you, Teppy. And those kids have changed my life. All my kids have, but I just can't say enough. Everybody knows, and my staff are all rolling their eyes. She's gushing again about it. But it is an important program that, again, all of the programs are equal, but there's something about our kids that come in who have not experienced that kind of inclusion. And it's nothing that, some of the kids just go to BOCES. They do different things. And they're with us. I mean, some are aging out, and we're like, well, now we can kind of make them mentors. You don't want to lose them, and it's amazing to see the parents. And the parents, I said, come from all walks of life, and they really love that program. And Michael does amazing things. So,
how can someone get involved from the outside if they don't have maybe a young child, or to donate to the program, or just to help the cause? How can someone on the outside, or even our viewers watching, donate or give their time, volunteer, whatever, to the Yes, if they're interested in doing something like that?
They can call us. Okay. They can go on our website.
It's at yes.com?
Yes News.
Yes News, okay.
.org, yes. Okay. Or they can send, they can phone us at 631 587 5172. And say you want to get involved. I mean, there are so many opportunities. You know, you might have a piece of furniture you want to donate. You might want to. We love to have mentors and volunteers and adults. I know how hard it is, but it's not a big amount of time. I have staff, but it's just great to have people come in. And I just want to shout out to Uplift Brentwood. They did an awesome activity on Saturday. They're an organization up and coming.
I was part of that.
See? And
Yes.
On Saturday, I had a baby shower. But I just want to say, Miguel, Terrell, Herbie, all of you guys out over at BYA, that's what it is about. Everybody doing something, and the kids have a choice. So those guys are doing amazing things, and girls, women over in Uplift. There's so many groups that you want to just say have supported us too, and that we try to support. But just call us, and if it's not a good fit with us, we know other organizations that we always refer to. And Carolyn Baez, not to understate, is a dynamic leader. As director of programs, she came to us part-time. She was, in the business world in New York City, and she wanted to make a commitment to her child and not be doing that and just pick up part-time work, and now she's director of programs. So shout out to Carolyn, because I know when I say just call, she's smiling. But, whatever, everyone gets it done. Juan Munez, there's so many people. I want to talk about somebody really special. He's such a great guy. I don't know if he's listening, because I don't think he's on Facebook or whatever, but Mr. Elwood, everyone calls him. Elwood is a maverick at Yes. He runs the Central Islip Drop-In. He works with Island Harvest to bring food in. No matter the day, time, night, everybody calls Elwood. And the kids love him. And he works with PAL, the police department. He has some program over there. Definitely stop by over. It's now the senior center. But Elwood is a kid from Hempstead. He's not a kid anymore. And he came to us. He had his own life challenges. And we all do.
Tall gentleman. Right?
Yes, Mr. Elwood.
He was at
I think he was at, yes.
He was at
yes.
at the
Of
event
course,
where-
Elwood. I probably wasn't even paying the dude. He's so great. Let me say something. I just need to say this. So Elwood comes to us and I'm going to tell you, he got involved as a volunteer. He said, I want to give back. I don't know how he found us. But literally when he walked through those doors, I mean, one day I realized this dude, he's working 40 hours a week volunteering. So of course we have to hire people. And Elwood, you're the best. I don't know if you're listening to this, but everyone who works with Elwood, I know will get that back to him. And it's important to recognize that. So believe me, no one's getting rich here. But he's at Island Harvest at 8 o'clock in the morning picking up food, fresh vegetables, produce, whatever he can do. I mean, he really is. He's sitting on probably some fast food line buying some kids' food. And I'm yelling at him right now if he is, but again, he's and there's so many more, like Miss Jewel, that whole group over there, Miss Amy, shout out to Michelle.
Both of them were there.
Excuse me?
I think both of those two ladies you just mentioned were there also.
I think they
Yes, they
were
were both
there.
there.
Yeah, we did see them when we were there.
And then there are former staff that have moved away that I sent this out to, because I want to just say, Miss Stephanie, I hope you got a chance to get on. I just think it's important, whether you're there now or you were there, that you were part of something that I think is really special. And I know that you're a former youth still with fond memories. And that's the thing. And so many young people come up to me. I cannot go to the stores. I cannot go over to the Bayshore Mall. I never get through it. I tell my friends, we're never getting out of here. And sure enough, they're like, no, we can just jump in. I'm like, you're never just jumping in. But they come up, and you try to remember them. Tony and Kenny, I remember. But some you don't as much, or they've changed so much, and they just come up to you, and it's really
She said
good.
they changed. They get weird now.
How you say it? Marv. How you say it?
Not you two. You guys no.
Here at Money Marvin Company, I actually go and find some nostalgia that I had from Yes, and it was most likely that I found this picture that I have in my hand, which I'm gonna let you see now, and then you can tell me, because you made that happen for me.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
You made that happen for
Do you
me.
know who this is?
Yes, I know who that is.
Tell me who this is.
That is Miss Coretta Scott King, and you sent me
I
there to
just-
meet that lovely individual with Malcolm X's wife, who was there also.
Oh, Betty
which I did
Shabazz.
not. Yeah, she was there also.
Wow.
Yes,
Both of them
I
were there,
remember.
and you sent me there.
I wish we could really share
I wish I didn't
that.
have that vest on, but
Well, back in the day.
Oh, he called himself DJ Face on that picture. You was Young Face.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Yes, but if it wasn't for the
That's
Yes
pretty
Center, I would
awesome.
not have met, you know,
Oh,
that lovely lady and Miss Shabazz also, who was like very, very influenced
remember.
in everything.
You know, as you say that, man, DJ Face Off, you know, I was in Stop and Shop over there. I think it was that East Islip on Sunrise. And this gentleman, he just kept like walking past me or whatever. And I was going down one aisle and I'm like, and he made it a point to like address me, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, where do I know him from? I don't remember his name, but I'm just like, oh, that was the guy from the award ceremony that they did at the high school for me. I didn't know his name, but it was just like, and he just like really was like, and I was like, you know, just shopping, trying to hurry up and get out, and he made it a point to like acknowledge me again. And I was like, wow, like, and I can't remember his name, but he was one of the guys in that picture. I don't even have that picture anymore.
I ran into Mike at a supermarket. I was working during Halloween season, and I bumped into Mike real fast. So I've seen a lot of old people that used to be at the rec, and you know, we've had Renee to our show back then, and it's a pleasure and honor for me to have you.
Forget Renee, we got MaryAnn. We got MaryAnn.
Renee's not even watching. No, I'm teasing. I don't know if she is.
No disrespect, Miss Ortiz or whatever. But we got MaryAnn.
I don't want to get beat up later.
Pfeiffer in the building. You know, she said I gave her a long introduction.
And we have somebody watching, Sylvia Diaz. I just want to say, remember our Washington D.C. trips? I mean, crazy times and oh, lots of memories, right, Sylvia? But we're still doing this stuff, and she's over at, just to show you, I mean, she was doing her own thing. She didn't work for Yes, but everybody had a connection. She was out in with the Red Cross, the youth part, out in the town of Brookhaven, and we all went down to D.C. And now she is the executive director of the Suffolk Community College Foundation, which raises money for our kids to go to college. And she has some money. She really
it's like
raises
a scholarship program type
right,
thing.
so it just keeps going. And we had that opportunity to know Sylvia a long time ago, and she's still doing great things. So I just noticed that she was watching. Hopefully she's still watching.
Jay and Liz have just jumped in the group too now. So.
Who?
Jay and Liz.
Oh, okay. Hey, Liz.
Liz
so you know, MaryAnn, you know,
And
she
Jay,
taking
Miss Jay's over in
Jay.
Central Islip.
MaryAnn, you know, she taking over everything, you know, shutting all the other organizations
No,
down.
no. I need the other organizations. I'm tired. I'm tired. You know what? But anyway, there are certain programs that you never forget and certain people. And you guys definitely are unforgettable for sure. And there's so many kids, but you know what it's like, even for you and the work you do, when you try to go do something and you see so many people in just the past that's been phenomenal, and they bring up different staff and their memories. And I think that's important. It's not just about were you successful or not. Of course we want to be successful. But there are a lot of kids who look back on us that we might have forgotten their names, but that was a big deal.
Right.
You know, those summer programs, you know, that's just how it is. That I remember when I was young, very, very recently, and I think back to the crazy teachers and the funny things that happen in adults, you know. It's we're really proud of that we can impact the kids and to have some parents call up and say something. It's nice.
I'm really glad that the Yes program stayed alive and kept going, and you guys expanded into so many different things. And
what's the future looking like for the Yes program?
Oh, well, we just opened the clinic last year, and that was a huge undertaking to get all the licensing and everything. So we're
and
really
what type of
focused
clinic is it?
It's a mental health clinic.
Okay.
So we have a facility we bought in Brentwood, and that the state gave us some money to renovate. So we'll be housing the mental health clinic. Right now it's at 401. The town gave us some space to do it while we renovate the building, and it's going to provide mental health services right there in Brentwood off of where off of Washington, right behind Suffolk Ave.
Gotcha.
So that's my next thing for the next year, learning about building a facility. So that's one of our big directions.
You're trying to build the next Planned Parenthood and all that other stuff.
I don't want to be Planned Parenthood. That's Planned Parenthood.
I'm just messing with you, Mary. I'm just messing with you. She's like,
I've
no,
got
no.
my colleagues. I have so many colleagues, Olga Slahami, so many people out there that support us, and working together. It's just been great. I can't say enough about so many people that support us. But the other thing we really want to look at are those services where we're talking about kids that are involved in the court system. So it's a little bit not early intervention, it's a little bit getting towards the later intervention that still pick up those kids and the kids re-entering, because that's where, most of the kids are, most kids are good. It's very few creating a lot of noise.
Right.
That's all it is. And they're creating the noise because they want to be heard.
Right.
They're in pain, they want to be heard, and so we're trying to listen. So in the meantime, though, we have programs for everybody, because you don't just start a program and say, I'm putting all the kids who are troublemakers in the program, all the, quote, bad kids. You want to mix that up. You want to have experiences where kids who are good students, who attend school regularly, are impacting the other kids, but also that inclusion is important for all behavioral types. It's not, you can't just isolate kids. A big thing for a long time in this country was like everyone's going to be in their own group of intelligence and behavior, and that didn't really work. Kids need to be with each other. We lift each other up. It's anywhere else we don't do that. We work together. So I think that's our next thing, is really working on the mental health services, deciding whether we want to go the substance abuse counseling route.
I think all that goes hand in hand, as substance abuse and kids getting I think all that goes hand in hand. So you'll find a way to kind of make the two work together as one. Because when people say, I'm going to evaluate you for mental health, they do a clinical and all that other stuff. Now, what determines that I'm crazy, right? If that's the
it's not crazy.
I'm just, I don't, what, crazy is a word, I don't want to let me not use that word, because when we say crazy,
right,
in the urban way, it's like,
yes,
hey, it's quirky fun, you know what I mean? It's different, but, people, it's like, how could I say this? Like, when people want to give people these diagnoses and tell them, that you have bipolar, you're emotionally disturbed, you're this or you're that, like, how do you go about doing that? Is it through conversation, observation? I'm just curious about that, because
a lot of regulations on how you do it. You can't just label. You have to be able to verify, prove. But I think that we really look at ADHD. So it's not really a negative label. It's how do we get this young person, this child, to learn better? How do we bring the stress and the anxiety of learning away from the child? You see a lot of ADHD because kids are very distracted. They're all over the place, and a lot of our kids, you know this. These kids are not. They have higher intelligence a lot of times too. So that's the interesting thing. But we don't have a label. I don't believe. I have to check emotionally disturbed, because that would be very. I know schools used to, absolutely. That's all changed. Behavioral, you might say behavioral issues, behavioral health. It was better than mental health. Unfortunately, the name, the licensing is mental health clinic, but it is behavioral health.
See, y'all, as I said, language, right? You can call it one thing, but to me, it all means the same thing.
And I don't think there's most people who have addiction without some behavioral mental health issues. Absolutely, you're right. I think they're co-occurring, but I think that if we get some interventions early, that's the idea, is to prevent the mental health issue from growing and impacting the child's life into adulthood, but also other bad choices that people make.
Definitely. Now, with all the different subheads of the challenges that kids face, the gangs, the drug dealing, different things like that, drug addiction, do you think that there's one that you guys focus more on, or one is a priority right now because it's so bad it's in comparison to the other, or are they all on a level of we got to tackle them all, or is there one that the YES program is fully invested in focusing on because it's such a big problem?
Well, what always happens typically is we all go off on to focus on, let's focus on heroin, and certainly that's important, but then we lose sight of alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we lose sight of this. I mean, I think that what YES focuses on, and there are different strategies depending on what you're trying to do, but I think we focus on positive youth development. Have we given this young person the opportunity in each and every program, even if it's an open gym, to expand their world and to experience something positive? Because that's like the first step. If a child can't experience something positive, doesn't feel they want to be on this earth, we don't talk about it, but there's suicide.
Right.
Again, suicide can be suicide of your life and you're still living and now you're in prison. So I think that what our mission is to go back to that positive youth development, that let's give them an opportunity. If you've never left Central Islip, and we have kids who literally have never left Central Islip, it's shocking, let's just go to a farm and apple pick. Something as simple as that changes the way you view the world. Like there's a farm on Long Island. Do you know how many kids, how many staff have said to me, there are farms? I'm like, wow. So it's perspective. Yeah. So I think that's what we're trying to do. But again, then we bring in strategies. Okay, this child needs a mentor because he's at risk, or his family, again, we have generational gang group membership, as you would call it. That's another issue we're facing. Yeah. So now, you're dealing with a father that might be gang involved. So what are you saying to the kid about that then? So do you ever have to use the word gangs? We bring in groups, Strong directly says this is what happens when you're in a gang. But for us, kids who are going to go in gangs are getting other needs met. It's not just one need. So Absolutely. What are those needs that we can meet? And stop using the negative words. We always use them, but we try to use positive words. So we're just trying to impact mentorship, right? Because if I say to you, you belong in an anti-gang group, what does that say to you? Why did I pick you? Well, I may actually see that, and we may talk about it. Maybe the school says, or maybe the parent says, well, she spends time with her dad, and, he's a gangbanger, he's in the... Well, if I say this is the gang program, that's why you notice Par 4, Alex Lopez's program. We called off the record Gangs to Golf, but we didn't really, that was just our thing. But it was called Par 4. He does life skills in there. He doesn't sit there and talk about gangs. We talk about negative behaviors and choices. But you don't sit there and say this is the gang program. Right. That's for our strategy. I don't want to criticize anyone else's strategy. For us, we want to keep it real, keep it positive, because isn't that what it's about? Right.
Absolutely.
So if I want to teach somebody to have a work ethic, don't I have to pay them to go to work? Because a lot of people would not get up every day and go to work if it weren't for the paycheck. Right. I mean, not every job. I have a great job. I love it. There are days I don't want to go. I think that's with any job. But I'm fortunate. Not everybody's that way. So, what are the other values? We're working hard. Well, if I'm making minimum, we get into all of that. So what can we do to build self-respect and pride? Sometimes you may not have the greatest job, but if I ask that parent, do you want to come volunteer? That's something a lot of our parents have never been asked. Yeah. Change the dialogue you're having with the parent. When a parent comes to me and they're upset about something, first of all, you have to listen. And then after that, it's like, wow, listen to what they're saying. They usually bring a lot of information to the table, not about their child, about kids in general. Yeah. And so just asking that, change that dynamic where, now that parent is on your side in the sense they're about that positive youth development. Right. It's not always easy. I mean, our parents feel very put out sometimes, especially with a child that's been a behavioral issue. Right. They're constantly getting the negative calls. So again, they give up. Carol and Baez, we work on let's change that conversation with that parent. And sometimes it can't be changed. There might be a particular incident, but still bring it back to what can the parent do as opposed to what the parent didn't do, right? Yeah. Think about when somebody's saying that to you all the time. And it's not that they don't care. Sometimes what do I do next? So it's nice to have a mental health clinic. Not to say your child is crazy. They're not. That something else is going on, and maybe there's a way we can help. Still go to the programs, but spend an hour where that's their time with somebody who's not judging them, not the teacher, not the school, not the aunt, not MaryAnn from YES. This is, even though it's a YES program, they're not feeding us the information. It's for them. And we try to create that with the kids, and they have goals, and they come up with a plan with the clinicians. It's not like sit here and it's not that path, like making everything so dire. It's really they take action. They have an action plan. They're part of their treatment plan on what they're going to do. It's amazing. And those clinicians do great work.
Just using different techniques to tap into that person and find in different ways. I get it. I get what you're saying.
And
I get the gist
it's like so important to have programs like this that gear towards helping people when they're not incarcerated anymore, or what to do after, because that way it keeps them from going back.
Yeah, and that you already have such a history, so you really have to, bring them back. We do portfolios. We do them with all of the kids, but it was originally born out of the OCFS facility, so shout out to OCFS for saying, so we have this kid incarcerated. Now he's going to go back. He's 17. He needs to get a job. What can he say? He was incarcerated. So what we do is we find the things that the kids did. Everybody has something they did, whether it was good attendance, whether it was an art project, whether it was a CD back in the day when you were cutting CDs. Let's figure out what it is, what they're good at. So they build up this portfolio. Or then they go out and do things to get it on their portfolio, get a letter for volunteering at the church. Pretty soon, and it's on a flash drive, it's really cute. Pretty soon that this portfolio tells a story about them, not the story that maybe the courts might tell. And also, I'll tell you, the judges love it, and they work with us, and I'm going to say that in probation. So everyone's getting to that. We're getting on the page now because we realize the other way isn't working. As our situations increase, and I don't know what the increase is for, but life is a lot more complicated even than when you were a kid.
Definitely.
This stuff is great, but there's a lot. Our kids are growing up fast and
with
furious.
The internet, social media, temptation, just in general, easy access in general for kids to have access to things that kids back in the day didn't have access. Everything's literally at your fingertips. If you're not old enough to drive, you can get on the phone and call an Uber and leave your house and be able to pay for an Uber without a license. You didn't. You couldn't do that years ago.
Yeah, I remember like you said, you couldn't do that. Like we had to walk to our friends' houses, 5 blocks. Oh, this person's not home. You know what? I gotta walk over to the hangout. You know what I mean?
Because you probably couldn't call, and you might not have even had a cell phone back then.
We didn't have phones.
And now, how easy it is. Kids are texting their older brothers when we have a problem in the program. Life is very. I mean, we don't even know it, and the older brothers are showing up. And how do you diffuse that? And the staff and the training for that. Times are different. You got to go to a payphone to do that. Now it's a text.
Times was so.
Yes, I mean I love technology. I love the advancements. We just need to use it right with the kids, and we need to get them on that page because the bullying is a whole nother thing. We work a lot in that. And just to talk about a few things, just so I can say them, different community leaders, and there are so many, and different even elected officials. I mean, they're there for a purpose. They've taken on new roles that we didn't see 20 years ago, of really coming to the programs, listening, saying, this is what I want to see. Can we do this? What can we do? And I think that that's a change for the better. I mean, they're the ones making laws. So let them see the kids, let them understand there is another way than incarceration. There is another way. And listen, there are some kids who really need much more restrictive. Trust me, I'm not saying that. So, and just to think of the different initiatives that people have worked on, and Senator Boyle, he's a big advocate for YES and other programs, not just YES. And I think of those times that we've come with the crazy idea. I don't know if he's watching, but he knows about it. And, where it's like, what are you going to do? And that's okay. We need to be challenged by saying, is this something? What are our goals here? But again, we're lucky. We work with all sides of the political spectrum. Everybody's supportive because at the end of the day, it's really about those kids and impacting those children's lives. And there's nobody, I don't care if they're conservative, Republican, Democrat, Independent, there's nobody who does not want the best for all of our kids. And I can say that. Even if it doesn't look that way sometimes when the politics get started. One-on-one, talking, understanding, everybody cares about these kids.
So basically what she's saying, folks, is screw the politicking and the propaganda. Do something about it. Do something in your community. Don't just sit back and talk about it.
Volunteer.
Get out and actually help, man.
And a lot of those elected officials do actually volunteer and come and do things and spend time and want to be involved. And are doing so many different coalitions in the community, putting together things. I don't know if I'm
I
supposed to
like
mention
that word
this.
you use, coalition.
Right. That's the buzzword. But I want to just say, like, we have I and the supervisor can go after me tomorrow, but the town of Islip, I know, is putting together a heroin task force, opioid. I mean, you know, we're at that point. What is going on in our town? What do we need? And that task force doesn't mean they're going to bang down doors and arrest people. Task force means, what are the needs? Are we meeting them? Who can meet them? What can we do? And I think that's important at the very localized levels. I mean, the county has the anti-gang task force that Boulogne has, the county exec Boulogne. You know, Monica Martinez put together a community group, CLC, and it goes from there. And I don't want to leave anyone out. There's so many, and they're elected officials. And a lot of people always have a negative connotation. Listen, if they're your elected official, say you want these things, not just yes. Whatever it is, advocate, advocate, advocate. Of course, we love if you advocate for us, but there are so many other groups. Like, I just shout out to Uplift Brentwood. Those are the things I like to do. Because I think they're important. Yes is not all things to all people, and we need community partners.
Definitely. Folks, I just want to say, man, for everyone who tuned in, caught us live, listen, if you didn't catch the show tonight, you can still catch it on Facebook at the Strong Island Radio Television page on Facebook.
Yes.
You know, before we go out, and then MaryAnn, let the people know where they can find you via social media. You know, office number, not personal number. She ain't interested.
That was my office number. Did I say 516? No. That's scary. No.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you know, send me an email. MAP, which is map, at yesnews.net. Go on our website, yesnews.org. We have Facebook. You can find us. We have Instagram. We tweet. I'm not sure we're Snapchatting yet. That makes me nervous, but Juan Munoz will tell you all about my nervousness about that. But anyway, I think I'm so happy that I got to spend this time seeing Kenny and Tony. You're laughing because I'm using those names. I can't help it. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching.
You know, I just, like I said, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you come sit here with Money Marv and company, and you being our special company for the night. I mean, people probably will get mad at me, like, why does he keep posting this? But I'm actually glad that you came and you touched on a lot of critical community issues and gave information that people can use. There are resources out there. There's programs. There's people you can call if you having issues with your children. Maybe you can't reach out to them. You ain't gonna speak to MaryAnn, but you will be able to speak to one of her active representatives. So, and knowing you since I was 12 years old to today, thank you so much, and you're a wonderful person. And,
thank you.
And thanks for coming down to the show. And like I said, I've learned a lot of life lessons from you and just different people from your organization. And I'm glad that you actually did our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Got a lot of good information.
And listen, folks, I'm going to leave y'all with this term. This is a metaphorical term for math. Basic arithmetic is subtraction and addition. So, folks, please decrease the apathy, increase the consciousness. Peace and love. That is our time. We will see y'all next Sunday night. Same time, same bat channel. 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. StrongIslandTV.com. Y'all can catch the ride with DJ Face Off. He gonna play I don't know what tonight, but
we will be honoring the late great Big and a couple of other artists I know.
You know what I mean? But Facebook Live, we love you guys, and make sure y'all missed the show with MaryAnn. Y'all make sure y'all follow up and we'll catch it because it's not going nowhere. But that is our time, and we will see y'all next week.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
All right, for y'all who's still there, don't forget to go over to StrongIsland.tv for the ride with myself. It's in the Evernote that MaryAnn has sent to everyone. Just go to the second link and click that, and you're all good to go. We will see you in a couple of seconds.